Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 15th of July and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis. So friends, in the video we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper with respect to the UPSC examination. And guys, I would like to remind you that I will be using this explainer PDF in this particular discussion. So you can download this PDF from the Telegram channel. The link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box. So please download the PDF and keep following it along with the newspaper. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of the entire newspaper. So here on the first page, Gotabaya in Singapore sends his resignation. So guys, we are seeing from the past few days that the presidential palace of the Sri Lanka, okay, the secretariat has been stormed by the people, okay, and in this particular direction the development is going on, fine, where the president Gotabaya has resigned. However, you don't need to follow this particular news every day, fine, because in that capacity the article is not important. Then fiscal deficit reined in CAD a concern. So we will be seeing the twin challenge of Indian economy that it is going through. So as a matter of concept, we are going to see this particular matter. Then guys, the Kerala reports India's first monkeypox case. So you don't need to track that, okay, which man, okay, what was the name of that person, where he found, and all these kind of things, okay. However, when we see the monkeypox, the cases are increasing around the world. Into basically we find this particular thing that, however, India, the cases are not there. Majority of the cases are from the Europe and the North America. However, anyhow, moving fine, in this article as such, substance is not provided. Then guys, further moving on, okay, the Dantewada killings, okay, JMM formally backs Draupadi Murmu, okay, and political news etc. have been given. Nothing very much important in this particular direction is there. Then coming to the city section, so guys, into the city section, the regional issues, okay, the northeast Delhi riots, okay, the summoning charge sheet etc. has been mentioned. Nothing is important, okay. Now guys, this is the spotlight page that comes on the Friday. Now this particular page mentions tribal at the top, great expectations onto the ground. Okay, so guys, we see that basically the presidential candidate, Miss Draupadi Murmu, she is from the Odisha, she is from the tribal community. So how the tribal communities from the region which she comes, how happy. So this is talking about that particular thing only. However, with respect to the UPSC, academic substance is not there in this particular article. Then guys, moving on, after that the Metro Plus page, nothing is important with respect to the examination. Advertisements etc. has been given, okay. So directly we'll be reaching to the editorial page. Now on to the editorial page, the first article, two leaves, one leader and a party reborn. So it talks about the external threats to AIA, DMK. Find the political article, please leave it clear. These articles are not at all important for your examinations. Then fleeing, quitting. So it talks about the president Gotabaya Rajapaksa, that how he had fled from the country, okay. So that particular detail is being provided, and moreover it has also been provided that the people of Sri Lanka's courage needs to be appreciated, that they took a stand against the government which has failed to bring the economic respite, okay. Then the great omission in the draft disability policy, a very good article with respect to the disabled people in India in social justice. We'll see this entire article, bridging the gap. It talks about the global gender gap report. Is protectionism compatible with liberalization? We'll see this particular article also, fine. Then moving on, world can't get out, okay. So guys, basically see, this particular article talks about that, see, there are certain words in the parliament that are used which are the colonial legacy. For example, I beg your pardon, okay. So using the word I beg your pardon, these words were used during the time of Britishers, okay. So basically what has happened, the Lok Sabha has compiled a list of 150 words which are expunged. It means that they should not be used, okay. There are the Commonwealth nations, find the Commonwealth countries, their parliaments have said that they are not going to use the word. So the words such as dodgy, betrayal, dog, frighten, hypocrisy, murder, liar, all these kind of things, these words should not be used, okay. So this is something which has been provided. So guys, you don't need to see that what these actually words are, okay. So please, fine. Then moving on to the text and the context, the debates around the forest conservation rules, we'll see this article. The road to rolling out the labor codes, fine. So we'll see this article also. Now this article is an excellent article, how to grease the wheels of the justice. Very good article with respect to the judicial reforms, fine. We'll see this particular article also. Then moving on, 3 estate arrested in Patna for anti-India activities, letter from OPS, fine. Nothing is important in this particular direction, fine. All these articles are just the political issues that are there. Then moving on, political uproar over the unparliamentary word list. So guys, just a few seconds back I have told you that 151 list of words list have been prepared which should be expunged, means it should not be the part of the normal discussion, normal discourse. Now opposition says that you are taking our right to express, you are taking our right to speech. Now the parliament has given a clarity also that we are not banning you to use these words. Such kind of a thing is going on, not at all important. Fine, then the political issues etc have been there. Moving on in this particular direction, the debut edition of CUET. So guys, CUET, okay, this particular basically the CUET, it stands for the Common University Examination Test. Now this particular test will be the one which will take a common test for the 45 universities entrance. Okay, so that is taking its debut. Fine. After that, moving on, production of vegetables to go up. Okay, India to give land for I2UT backup. Is it clear or not? So basically guys, in this particular capacity, I2UT backup has been discussed. Okay, so integrated food parks, and for that particular thing the land will be given by the India. Then guys, moving on, China waits and watches Sri Lankan crisis. Fine, US wars to stop the Iran nuclear bomb. So USA always says that the Iran is enriching the uranium and will use that particular enriched uranium to develop the bombs, and the US says against that thing. Okay, then we reach to the business page. Trade deficit widens to record $26.1 billion. We'll see this particular article along with the article that has come onto the page number 1. Fine, wholesale price rise is to 3 month. Fine, then the EU cut for Eurozone. Fine. So after that guys, corporate issues, okay, trends etc has been given. Fine, and then we have the sports page. Okay, so this is guys the overview of the entire newspaper, and now let's discuss the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Okay, now starting up, so first we will be starting with the GS quotation that I give you in every class, and these GS quotations could be used in your answers as well as it could be used in your essays. So today we are going to take the quotation from the Martin Luther King Jr., the civil rights activist. He says that the non-violence means avoiding not only the external physical violence but also the internal violence of spirit. You not only refuse to shoot a man but you refuse to hate him. Okay, so guys, basically the non-violence is not just physical, but it is also mental, it is also spiritual. Okay, so the hatredness that is there into the society, hatredness, the divisions, the prejudices that are existing into the society, these prejudices are also a subtle form of non-violence and we need to abandon them. This particular idea guys can be very aptly can be used in GS paper number 4 ethics, GS paper number 4 ethics, as well as in the essay. Okay, now let's take the first article. Okay, guys, see, the first article is taken from the page number 1. It says that fiscal deficit reined in, CAD, current account deficit, a concern. Okay, now understand this particular thing guys, see, basically now a word is coming many times into the news, that is the twin challenges of Indian economy. We'll understand what this twin challenge of Indian economy is all about. However, you don't need to follow basically the numbers, okay, that how CAD is increasing, how it is going down, so much of the numbers etc are not that much important. Concept is important. And this particular article we are going to see with respect to the GS paper number 3, issues related to the Indian economy. Issues related to the Indian economy. Now, first of all, what is the twin challenges of Indian economy right now? So guys, the twin challenges of Indian economy is first of all the inflation. So we find this particular thing that for entire 2022, the inflation has been above the comfortable range which has been suggested by the Monetary Policy Committee. So guys, as per the comfortable range of inflation in India, basically the Monetary Policy Committee aims that the inflation should stay in the band of 2% to 6%. 2% lowest and 6% highest. It should not go beyond the 6%. But now, right now if we see the inflation, it is going beyond 6% and it is around 7.1%. So therefore, this inflation is a very big challenge. Guys, understand this particular thing that we are still passing through the pandemic, and in this pandemic we find this particular thing that informal sector, now in India, informal sector is around 90%. Now the people into the informal sector, many of them have lost their jobs, many of their incomes have declined, and in this capacity when the inflation is coming, it will be impacting the people in very big way. Clear? Understand this particular thing, that Inflation makes things expensive for the masses. When the things are going to become expensive for the masses, people might not be able to afford and buy that particular thing. Aggregate demand at the level of the entire economy, the total demand, it will go down. If aggregate demand will go down, what will happen? Economic activities will go down, okay, and we will say that further the unemployment is going to get increased. Why unemployment is going to get increased? Because if aggregate demand will be less, find the industries, they need to shrink their capacities, and for that particular thing they will be firing more people, okay, and therefore again the economy might go into a problem. There might be a kind of an economic recession type of situation that can develop. Fine, so inflation is there. Second twin challenge that we are facing is the trade deficit, which has increased to all time high. So basically guys, the trade deficit of India, it has reached to $26.2 billion for the month of June. $26.2 billion, which is all time high. Now let's understand this issue of the trade deficit little bit in the more details. Okay, so guys, just focus here. Okay, just focus here on this particular picture. So we have here the BOP account. BOP account stands for the balance of payment account. Now guys, let's understand this issue from very basic. So whenever a country is doing trade, now suppose this is India and this is the entire world. So obviously India is doing some trade with the external world. The world is sending certain imports to the India. So this trade is going on. So balance of payment account is one which has all the details with respect to the transactions that our country is having with the rest of world. Account basically records of the import, export, remittances, loans we are giving, loans that we are receiving, all that particular details are into the balance of payment account. Now the balance of payment account is actually divided in two parts. First is the current account and the second is the capital account. Now when we talk about the current account, in current account we have majorly, first of all, the trade in goods is there. Now you understand this particular thing that we are exporting a lot of goods, okay, we are exporting a lot of goods, fine manufactured, finished petroleum products actually we are exporting, okay, gems and jewelries we are exporting, fine, many chemicals we are exporting. So export of goods, import of goods, at the same time we are importing certain goods also. So there will be some net balance that will be coming here, okay. So we have the trade in goods. Now guys, when we talk about this particular component here, actually our import of goods is way much higher because we import a lot of gold, we import a lot of crude oil. Then the next factor that comes is the trade in services. Now guys, the trade into the services includes a large number of things. For example, net income from the compensation of employees, okay, many of the Indian citizens, they are employed into the companies of the other countries, okay, fine. So the net income from the compensation of employees is there. Net investment income, okay, so India had done some investment, Indians in fact have done some investment in some other countries, okay. For example, Indians have bought the stocks of some other countries, okay, they are paying some dividend, they are paying back some other kind of remuneration. So net investment income will be there. After that, the income from the shipping, banking, insurance, tourism, software services, you know that India exports a lot of software. So all these particular things will be coming here. And then there are the transfer payments, okay, the remittances that we are receiving from the other people into the India, okay, the gifts, the grants that the other countries, other institutions are giving to us. So total this particular thing makes the current account. Now guys, this current account could be in surplus, could be in deficit. Surplus is a good situation. If it will be into the surplus, it means that we have received more of foreign currency. That foreign currency will be then kept into the foreign exchange reserve of a country, and foreign exchange reserve of a country will be increased. Then it could be also into the deficit. Okay, why deficit? It means that actually we imported more number of things, okay. Now deficit means that we need to give more dollar than actually what we got from the foreign trade, foreign transfers and all such kind of things. So guys, today if we see what had happened, the current account deficit, it has basically all time high. Why the current account deficit is all time high? You focus here, because of the trade deficit that is at the all time high. Trade deficit is around $26.2 billion for this particular month. Now where the trade deficit will be coming, focus on this focus on this particular, just a minute. Okay, you focus on this particular part here. Is it clear or not? So we have a kind of a trade deficit. Actually the trade deficit is because of the fact that we are importing more. What we are importing more? We are importing more two things: crude as well as gold. Now, first of all, our consumption has increased. Second thing is there, guys, that actually our imports, they have become expensive also. Our imports have become expensive. Why our imports have become expensive? You see this particular thing when we talk about the major import of India. Oil is a very big import. Now guys, around the world the oil prices are at the record high. Now when the oil prices are so much expensive, obviously even the same oil that we were importing, let's say earlier we were importing the 100 barrels of oil, even today we are importing the 100 barrels of oil. If earlier the price was, let's say, $50 per barrel, and if today the price is, let's say, 100 barrel per $100 per barrel, obviously for the same oil we need to pay more. Is it clear or not? So today our import bill for the oil has increased. Okay, now guys, as we are paying more money for the oil, even the lending price of the oil will be high. Okay, the petrol and diesel price will be high, and because the petrol and diesel price actually is high in India, this particular thing is actually pushing the inflation in the entire country. You understand this particular thing, that inflation is very closely related with the price of the petrol and diesel, because majority of transportation happens via the trucks which uses the diesel. Okay, so movement will be expensive, therefore the inflation is also going to be high. So basically what we find this particular thing, that this, even the trade deficit that we, first of all, the petrol and diesel prices are high, it is pushing our trade deficit into the negative, that trade deficit into the negative, and that expensive oil is driving the inflation. All these things are related, and therefore Indian economy is right now facing this twin challenge on double fronts. Moreover, as per the government data, this particular year the current account deficit will be, total current account deficit will be more than $105 billion, or 3% of GDP, which is very much high. So guys, this is the entire issue that is going on in this particular direction. So I hope that you have understood it clear. See, you don't need to go too into the data and all such kind of things. Fine. So that is all about it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Okay, so this particular article we have taken from the text and the context section, how to grease the wheels of the justice. Very, very good article, guys. Okay, every line of this particular article is important. Now, first of all, where we are going to use this particular article, guys, we are going to use this particular article in GS paper number 2, judicial reforms. GS paper number 2, judicial reforms. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the justice, justice is the fundamental spirit of Indian constitution. The word justice is even mentioned into the preamble of the India. Okay, now the justice delayed is justice denied. Justice delayed is justice denied, and in India we see that there is a lot of delay in the justice. Fine, if I tell you about the pendency of the cases, more than 4 crore cases are pending in the India. Is it clear or not? Now, therefore there are some deep judicial reforms that are needed. Now guys, if you just remember, on the Wednesday, today is Friday, on the Wednesday there was one entire page infographic that came into the Hindu newspaper, which was dealing about actually how many number of cases are pending into the India, which states have the highest number of pendency cases. So that article also came. So guys, please include that Wednesday's article and the details along with this. Okay, it is going to be giving you a very good understanding. Now guys, if I give you some preliminary data with respect to the pendency of the cases, then 40% of the cases in India that are there, they are decided after the 3 years. Now this is huge. 40% cases are being decided after the gap of 3 years. However, into the developed world, this is just 1%. Just 1% cases take 3 years or more. So in India, we need to actually bring the judicial reforms. Now this article suggests certain judicial reforms which could be implemented immediately, and they can reduce the pendency of the cases by huge. Number one judicial reform that it is talking about is that, first of all, immediately we need to fill the judicial vacancies. So basically, whatever the sanctioned strength of the judiciary is, that judiciary is not working at that particular strength. Here some data has been provided. Let's see first of all the data that has come. Now guys, the article says that if we see the data between 2006 to 2019, the average pendency has been increased by 2% every year. Is it clear? So pendency is actually increasing by 2% every year. In this particular capacity, if you see, the vacancy into the judiciary is around 21%. So because 21% judges are less, the 2% pendency is increasing every year. Simply if we fill these 21% vacancies that are there, we can tackle the backlog of the cases. We can tackle the pendency of the cases in a very effective manner. Now in this particular context, guys, a couple of years back, the former Chief Justice of India, Justice T T.S. Thakur gave one suggestion also that actually India needs 70,000 more judges. Now the article says that even you don't need 70,000 judges, just fill these 21% vacancies into the judiciary. Fine, the backlog will go down. Second thing, guys, it has been provided that, see, why first of all these vacancies are not getting fulfilled. So the responsibility of the appointment of the judges into the lower judiciary, into the district judges, particular district level courts, particularly the responsibilities of the state government as well as the respective high courts. So state government has, as well as high courts have, the responsibility to filling the vacancies in district courts below that particular thing. And guys, here accountability is not there. It has been said that ensuring the near zero vacancies should be, the responsibility should be put onto the courts as well as the government, and there needs to be the Chief Justice of India at the top. Okay, they should be held accountable if there are the vacancies. Moreover, it is being said that if we fill all the vacancies into the judiciary today, we will need more than 5,000 extra courtrooms. Even the infrastructure into the judiciary is insufficient. But it has been said that you don't even need to construct the extra 5,000 courtrooms. The existing court can work into the double shifts, and by that particular thing, this problem will be tackled. Okay. This is something that has been provided. Then the next suggestion that is being given here is that we need to use the technology in the justice. Now actually, when we talk about the technological integration into the judiciary, there is the E-Committee of the Supreme Court, that was established in 2005. Now this particular E-Committee of Supreme Court has given certain recommendations with respect to the technology integration, but they have not been implemented up till now. The first recommendation that they have given is that the computer program should decide on the matters of case listing, case allocation, and the adjournment of the cases. Is it clear or not? Case listing, okay, the case allocation, which bench, which particular judge will be given which particular case, okay, and the adjournment. Many times the cases are adjourned and a new date is given, a future date is given. So this particular thing right now is just decided by the judge. So here it has been said that rather than giving this power to the judge, a computer program should decide it, and only the 5% of overriding power needs to be given to the judge. Now understand this particular thing, that why this suggestion has been given. Guys, in India we see this particular thing, that the rich people, the powerful people, they are able to twist the justice in their favor. What happens, many times they are taking the adjournment onto the cases, and as multiple adjournments are being given onto the case drags on for 15-20 years, and sometimes the adjournments are being given by the judge for their personal motives, for their personal benefits. So therefore, let these adjournments be decided by a computer program, and the computer program will be having an artificial intelligence, and only just onto the basis of merits and demerits it will be taking this particular decision. So this is something that has been provided. After, guys, the next thing that has been provided is that the court should adopt the e-filing. Now guys, there, what is the e-filing? Suppose you want to file a court case against some another person. So right now the filing is physical. You need to actually go to the court. You need to take the services of a lawyer, fine, and then manually through paper the cases will be filed, the fees will be paid, etc. Now it has been said that the E-Committee of the Supreme Court has already made the detailed standard operating procedure, that how the petitions, affidavits, cases, the payment, they can be done electronically without the need of the lawyers, without the litigants actually coming to the court. It will be saving a lot of cost, it will be saving a lot of man hours, as well as it will be saving a lot of paper, which will be having some environmental implications. Annually more than 3 lakh trees will be saved just by, if we consider the paper cost that will be saved. So this is the integration of technology into the judiciary, that is the need of the hour. Then the next suggestion that has been given is that we need to focus on virtual hearings as well as along with the physical hearings. A hybrid hearing need to be made as a norm even after the pandemic will go. Here it has been said that, see, when the COVID-19 pandemic came, basically the virtual hearings, it got started, but the physical hearings were very much less. However, guys, it has been said that though virtual hearings were going on, fine, basically the pendency into the cases, the pendency of the court cases, it has increased. Fine, earlier 5.7 lakh cases were increasing every year, but this pendency has increased to 51 lakh into the COVID-19 pandemic year. So what you need to have, you need to make sure that only virtual hearings are not going to help, only physical hearings are not going to help. We need to have both virtual as well as physical hearing. Fine, judges, the sanction strength needs to be fulfilled, electronic integration needs to be done. Now all these suggestions that have been given, the article says that these suggestions will not require any change in the law. No amendment, no law needs to be changed. This all particular thing can be done by at a conference of the High Court Chief Justice of India and the government representatives. Just they can make the rules and all these particular things can be done. And only if these particular suggestions are implemented, Indian judicial system could become top 10, could become among top 10 judicial system of the world. So these particular things needed to be done. It has been suggested. So guys, see, one particular thing I would like to tell you. See, even when you are giving your answers in GS paper number 4 as well as GS paper number 2, even in GS paper number 3, make sure that you are suggesting the reform with using minimum of the minimum resources, overhaul of the entire system, okay, or suggesting a reform which will take a lot of money. It is not appreciated because it might not be practical some number of times. Now even the judicial reforms that are being suggested in this particular article, they are very good because no new mechanism, law or substantial funding will not be needed. So that is all about this particular article, guys. And now we'll move to the next article. Now this particular article talks about the new controversy that has come around the forest conservation rules that have recently been notified by the government. Okay, so guys, we are going to understand this entire controversy from the scratch, this entire controversy, okay, and even if you don't have any background, just please focus, it will be cleared now. Now, by the way, this particular article is going to be important for GS paper number 3, conservation. GS paper number 3, conservation. Okay, now let's see that what this particular article is all about. First of all, I'll tell you the background. Okay, so guys, the background goes like this. Let's see. When we talk about the environmental conservation, forest conservation, it happens to be very important for the two reasons. Number one, the right of the tribals, they are very much attached to the forest because they have been the original forest dwellers. They have been the communities who depend on to the forest for their livelihood, for their sustenance, etc. Secondly, the forests are also to be conserved so that India can fulfill its environmental obligations. For example, guys, in the COP26 that was held recently, India has agreed that we will be adopting the carbon neutrality by 2070. Carbon neutrality means that whatever our carbon emission is, it will be equivalent to whatever carbon we will absorb. So the carbon neutrality will be there. In total, net zero carbon emission will be there because whatever we are emitting will absorb that amount. Now, for absorbing the carbon, for achieving the carbon neutrality, you need to have the forest. Is it clear? Then guys, the second thing in this particular direction is that already in the 2015 Paris Climate Summit, in 2015 Paris, we have already agreed to this particular thing that we will be building a carbon sink of around 2.5 to 3 billion ton. 2.5 to 3 billion ton of carbon sink will be developed, which will be absorbing the carbon sequestration will be done, and obviously this particular thing can only be done by conserving the forest. So therefore, forest conservation is important for the tribal welfare as well as for the environmental dimension. Now guys, when we talk about the forest, okay, now guys, there is the Forest Conservation Act of 1980 that is there. Forest Conservation Act of 1980, which is the principal law for conserving the forest in India. Now guys, along with this act, there are also the forest conservation rules that are notified from time to time. Forest conservation rules. So guys, understand this particular thing, that whenever a law is there, actually in order to implement that particular law onto the ground, there are supportive rules that are actually there. Now the law doesn't contains much of the detailed provision that onto the ground how a particular thing will be carried. So therefore rules come from time to time. Now guys, recently what had happened, new forest conservation rules have been announced by the government. Okay, now these forest conservation rules, they prescribe the procedure that will be followed if the forest land is being diverted for non-forestry uses. Sometimes the forest land, it is diverted for building up of some infrastructure, for some factory, for some mine, for some other developmental project. So if the forest land is being diverted, how it can be done, in what conditions it can be done. So for all these particular things, the new forest conservation rules have been notified by the government. Now guys, first of all, I'll tell you some more basic things before going in this particular room, before going in this particular thing. See, if the forest land of more than 5 hectares is being diverted for some infrastructure or such kind of a project, then guys, the central government has to give the permission. Now actually, how central government gives the permission? Central government has constituted the committees. These committees are called as the Forest Advisory Committee, FAC, Forest Advisory Committee. Now this Forest Advisory Committee investigates the claim of the user. Let's say there is Mr. Adani. Mr. Adani says that I need a forest because I am going to build one particular industry there. So the Forest Advisory Committee will see that okay, whether that industry is very much usable here, okay, what purpose it will serve, okay. So all these particular things, find the claims of the user agencies, fine, it is seen. And if the Forest Advisory Committee is convinced that okay, the land that you are asking, it will bring some more benefit than the cost, then they can approve that particular project. Now guys, if the FAC approves one particular project, the person who is going to use the forest land, it has to provide number one, it has to provide the compensatory land for afforestation. So let's say that you are taking a land parcel into the forest, you have to provide some other land parcel where the trees will be grown, compensatory afforestation will be done. Moreover guys, because you have taken the forest and the forest has the timber and all such kind of a resource, then the money also is to be paid, which is called as the net present value. It is around 10 to 15 lakh rupees per hectare. So the person who is taking the forest land, he will be giving a separate land parcel, as well as he will also be paying some compensation for that particular thing. This happens. Now guys, once the FAC has approved this particular thing, the file is forwarded to the state government, and the state government here is going to play a very important role. Why the state government is going to play an important role? Now guys, obviously the forest land that you are diverting, obviously there might be some tribals that are living onto that particular land, there are some forest dwellers that are living onto that particular land. So where they will go? Okay, where they will go? So their rehabilitation, okay, their relocation is to be done. Okay, now guys, first of all, there is one more legislation that now will come into the picture. Up till now we were discussing the forest rights, the Forest Conservation Act of 1980, and now there is one more law that will come, that is the Forest Rights Act 2006. So up till now we were discussing the Forest Conservation Act, FCA 1980. Now one more law comes into the picture, that is the FRA, Forest Rights Act 2006. This particular law has recognized the rights of the tribals as well as the forest dwellers onto their lands within the forest. Now the state is taking their land, so obviously they are to be rehabilitated. Moreover, their permission is written, so Gram Sabha has to give a written permission that okay, we don't have any problem in giving the land. Only when they will be giving the permission, the actually land needs to be taken up. So this is the entire procedure that goes on. Now guys, the new rules that have come, it has one positive thing and one negative thing. First of all, what is the positive thing? Now the positive thing in this particular law is that, first of all, it provides that now the private parties can cultivate the plantations and sell them as land to the companies who need to meet the compensatory afforestation targets. Now let's say that there is one industry by the name of XYZ industry. This XYZ industry needs a land in the forest. Now I told you already that if they are taking a land into the forest, they need to provide some another land which will be used for the compensatory afforestation. Fine, some other trees will be grown here. So the private parties can actually prepare these particular lands as per their own investment, and these lands can directly be sold to these particular companies, and these companies will show that okay, this land is the compensatory afforestation that has been carried. So it will be a win-win situation. The company, it will get a lot of ease for it, it will be a convenience, because they don't need to then go and identify the place. They will get a ready-made type of a forested land, a ready-made parcel they will get. Moreover, the private parties who are raising these particular land, planting some trees, for them also some incentive will be there. Okay, so this is a win-win situation. But guys, there is some one problematic provision also that has come. Now what is the problematic provision? Guys, understand this particular thing, that since 2009 the Environment Ministry is insisting on one particular proposal. They say this particular thing, that FAC should not entertain any proposal, fine, until the Gram Sabha has been approved that okay, we are comfortable in giving the land. So you FAC, Environment Ministry, again I'll repeat, Environment Ministry has provided that FAC should not entertain any proposal until and unless the Gram Sabha has given their approval that we don't have any problem. Only if the Gram Sabha is ready to give the land, then only this particular process should be carried. But guys, what has happened after that? There are some many other changes that also came, some many other amendments that also came, and these new rules that now had come, these rules are what they are saying. They say that once project have been approved by the FAC, it will be passed to the state government, who will collect the compensatory forest land and process for the final approval. Now you focus in this particular thing. Here there is no mention that a Gram Sabha's consent will be taken in between. Here there is no mention that the rehabilitation will be taken in between. Just it has been said that FAC will approve, it will send the file to the state will then will be approving that file. Nowhere the tribals' rights are being talked about. So therefore it has been said that it will lead to the violation as well as the dilution of the tribals' rights. And this is the entire debate around, or entire controversy around, the forest conservation rules that has come. So that is all guys about this particular article. Okay, I hope that you have understood it. And now we'll move to the next article. The great omission on the draft disability policy. The great omission on the draft disability policy. Now this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and this article we are going to see with respect to the GS paper number 2, social justice. Within the social justice, the vulnerable sections of society, and within the vulnerable section of societies, the disabled people. Fine. So this is the context of this particular article first of all. Now guys, let's say that what this particular article is talking about. So recently there is a draft of the national policy for person and disabilities that has been announced. So Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has the mandate to look for the well-being of the disabled people, and now they had come out with this new draft policy for the disabled people. Now guys, already we have the policy for the disabled people which came in 2006. Okay, but what has happened over the past few years, since 2006 to 2022, there are some new changes that have actually come. What changes have come? India had signed the United Nations Convention onto the Rights of Person with a Disability. This is one thing that has happened. After that, new law, that is the Rights of Person with Disabilities Act 2016 has come. Now guys, this 2016 Act for the disabled people actually came because we signed first of all the United Nations Convention. After that guys, it has been provided that this particular law, that is the law for the rights of person with disabilities, it has also enhanced the definition of disability. So disabilities definition has enhanced from 7 conditions to 21 conditions. Moreover guys, in between we have also signed the Incheon strategy for Asia and Pacific. Now the Incheon strategy for Asia and Pacific, it provides that there are 10 goals for the Asia Pacific countries. These 10 goals are talking about the inclusion of the disabled people into the mainstream society. Moreover, it also talks about that the countries need to focus on to the SDGs. Okay, all their policies needs to confirm the SDG. Which SDG? SDG is meant for the disabled people. So again, recapping all these things, what happened? Our policy onto the disabled, it came in 2006, and till then a lot of developments had happened. We signed the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, we come out with the 2016 Act, we have signed the Incheon strategy. So to streamline all these particular things, a new policy is now being suggested. Now guys, this particular fine. Now basically, first of all, the commitments that we have taken, the Incheon strategy, the UN escape, the UN committee, the focus of disability has shifted from the individual to society. From the medical model, the disability has shifted to the human rights model. What first of all this means? Medical model of disability. Medical model of disability means that a disabled person will be seen in terms of the medical condition that he is suffering. Okay, let's say there is some locomotive problem that is there is some hearing problem that is there. So in terms of medical fitness of a person, a disability will be seen. Now the human rights model of disability, it is more expansive. It means that you just not need to see in medical terms, rather see the handicaps that a person is facing in the society, rather see the discriminations that is there, rather also see the accessibility of the society that a person is not able to have when he is disabled. Is it clear? So just focus that not only into the medical terms you are seeing the disabled people, but also are ensuring that there is a full participation into the society. They are not being discriminated anywhere and all these particular things. Is it clear or not? Now this new draft policy that has come, there are certain issues in this particular draft policy, and let's see these particular issues one by one. Now, first of all, it says that in this particular policy, a good thing is that it has focused on to the detailed commitment to education, health, skill development, employment, sports, culture, social security, accessibility. Their basically institutional mechanisms should be strengthened. All these things are there. Okay, so every arena is being discussed, but they have not mentioned one particular thing, that is the political upliftment of the disabled people. And it has been said that the exclusion from the political life of the disabled people, okay, that the exclusion of the political people from the political life, it is a very big problem. Now we find this particular thing that they are not able to participate into the political space, okay, in different ways. For example, number one, there is inaccessibility of the voting process, which is the basic thing. Fine, though Election Commission of India has provided very clearly that the voting booths need to be made accessible to the disabled people, but they are not able to go and vote sometimes because accessibility is missing. Then there are barriers to participation in party politics. Even the political parties are not keeping it forward the names of the disabled people as their representatives. Then the Convention of the Rights of Person with Disabilities in Gall, both of them talks about the political participation into the decision making. Is it clear? Even the 2016 Act of the Disabled, the Election Commission of India, State Election Commission, all have provided that the polling stations need to be made accessible. There need to be ramp. There needs to be all such kind of facilities. But actually, nothing has happened onto the ground. Okay, there, guys, understand this particular thing, that our constitution makers understood this particular thing, that every community's representation is very important. Therefore, they specifically provided for the reservation of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes into the parliament. Now the time has come that we need to focus on to the representation of the disabled also. And even I'll tell you one thing, that government does not even maintain the data on the disability aspect of the members. Find the existing members, how many of them are having the proven disabilities. Even this data is missing. So government's focus onto the disabled people into the political arena is very much less. This is being said. Now, guys, there are certain good case studies that are here which you can use in your examination. Now, what are the good case studies? Chhattisgarh, for example, it has started an initiative where the at least one member will be nominated from the disabled community at the panchayat. So if a disabled member is not being elected at the panchayat, one member will be nominated at the panchayat so that he can keep forward the concerns of the disabled people. And this is a very good case study. Every state government needs to focus on such kind of thing. Only when the disabled people will be given their space in the policy making, they can actually identify the problems that the disabled people are facing. Now, there are some other suggestions. A 4-step strategy has been suggested. What needs to be done? Number one, it provides that we need to build the capacity of the disabled people. We need to empower their member. We need to give them training. We need to teach them about the electoral politics. Fine. In basically advocacy, skills are needed to be developed into them. Okay, all these things. Then second, it says that we need to remove the legal and regulatory basically we need to come out with the regulatory framework that how the disabled people can be provided more representation into the political processes. Okay, then the civil societies needed to be enrobed, that how civil societies can empower these peoples. And finally, it has been provided that a framework of political parties. Now all the political parties, they needed to outreach the disabled people. Okay, election campaigns needs to be specifically focused that how the disabled people's concern will be taken. They will need to be enrobed into the political processes. All these things are being talked about here in this particular article. Fine. So guys, it was a very good article and a lot of insights with respect to the disability etc has been given. Okay, so that is all about it. And now let's move to the next article. Now, this article talks about that is protectionism compatible with the liberalization. Now, this article is talking about the critical analysis of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan that government announced in the 2020. So, therefore, this particular article can be seen with respect to the GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3. Now, let's see that what the article is talking about. So understand that guys, we came out with the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, and under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, government provided that it will provide the special protection, special emphasis will be given onto the domestic industries. Domestic industries will be empowered. Now this particular thing looks like the protectionism that India is taking. Now guys, what is protectionism? Protectionism is opposite to the liberalization. In the liberalization, government promotes that their economy will be open. Okay, external actors, they can come into the economy, fine. Internal actors, they can export freely. Liberalization is there, fine. Now India started with the liberalization in 1991. We became an open economy, but now it is being said that through Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, we are going towards the protectionism, where we are trying to protect our economy. The external investors, they will be discriminated, fine. Our own domestic manufacturers, they will be given more preference. So this is protectionism. And guys, when we talk about the protectionism goes against the WTO, World Trade Organization's standards even. Now it has been said that actually Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan is disappointing. Why it is disappointing? Because it is problematic on certain fronts. Number one, within the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, we have identified that we will be focusing on certain industries such as the electronics industry. Fine, even the production linked incentive scheme that has come, it is focusing onto the electronic sector. But it says that actually in India, first of all, we have a very well established software sector and diamond sector. So you should focus on enhancing the software sector and diamond sector. Why you are just first of all jumping to the electronic sector? These are the low hanging fruits that are needed to be taken up first. Second, next thing that has been provided is that guys, the center, it has come out with the external protectionism. It is reflection of its domestic economic policies. See, when we are enforcing the protectionism, when we will not allow the outside players to come, imports, let's say, will be restricted. You just want to protect your domestic manufacturers, but this particular thing is going to impact the ease of doing business. Within the ease of doing business, the ease, the comfort with which the foreign investors can come also counts, but the ease of doing business will be impacted. By that, the investments, foreign direct investments, all will be getting discouraged. Next, it has been provided that guys, see, basically whenever the government is basically concerned, government needs to partner with the industry. Okay, we have one successful example here. So actually, when the pandemic started, the vaccine that was manufactured, the vaccine was manufactured by the private entity, but the distribution was done by the government. So public, the government complemented the private sector, and the vaccine distribution program in India is a success. Okay, so government needs to support the industry at every possible dimension. First of all, the industry should be allowed that they can put forward their pain points, the concerns which they have, and then government needs to address them one by one. So rather than going for protectionism, rather than safeguarding your domestic industries from the outsiders, you need to enable the industries, you need to leverage their capabilities, just consider their problems and work on them. This is something that is provided here. So that is all about it, and now we'll move to the next article, the road to rolling out labor codes. Okay guys, see, in this particular article, the substance is actually not much. This article is talking about the implementation of the labor codes that has become delayed. Fine. So what has happened? The opposition parties as well as the labor unions, the industry body, they all are saying that why you are not implementing the labor codes that have been passed. So just what the different political parties are saying, what the different political leaders are saying, their statements have been given in this particular article. But that is not important. We are going to see the conceptual dimension of this particular article. Okay, so we are going to see that. And by the way, this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, labor reforms. GS paper number 3, labor reforms. Now let's discuss first of all some background I would like to tell you. Now guys, when we talk about the labor, okay, now the labor reform are very much important for the industrial sector of an economy. But at the same time guys, if you liberalize the labor, then there are the human right dimension that also comes. See, if you liberalize the labor too much, the industry owners will get a power. They will hire, they will fire whenever they want, they will not preserve their rights, and it will lead to the violation of human rights. But if you give too much of labor protection, then ease of doing business will get impacted. If you make very difficult to fire, if you make very much difficult for the employers, they'll say that okay, there is no ease of doing business. So balancing that, the labor protection needs to be there, but at the same time the liberalization also needs to be there. It is a very tricky kind of a thing. Now guys, when we talk about the India, in India the labor as a subject is mentioned into the concurrent list of the schedule number 7 of the Indian Constitution. Concurrent list means that both the parliament as well as the states can make the law onto the subject of labor. And because of that thing, today we have more than 140 laws on the labor subject. 40 central level laws are there onto the labor, and 100 laws are there by the state government onto the subject of labor. All these particular laws have made the situation very much complicated. All these particular laws actually, basically, the compliance cost on the employer, the compliance cost onto the factory owners, it increases so much because he had to adhere to more than 140 laws. So ease of doing business in India is getting impacted. So therefore, the second National Commission on Labor that was constituted in 2002 suggested that these 140 laws are needed to be consolidated into some core labor codes. Okay, so government decided that, okay, government actually consolidated more than 129 laws, okay, into these four codes. We have number one, the code on wages, which deals with the minimum wages that will be given, okay. Then the industrial relation code deals with the relation between the employer employee, matters of strike and all these kind of things. Then the code on the code on social security provides that some security benefits, social security benefits, PF, ESIC, insurance, etc. is to be provided. Then there is a code on occupational safety, health and working conditions. So these particular codes have consolidated more than 129 laws actually. Okay, original suggestion was to consolidate 140 laws, but so many laws have now been consolidated. Now guys, these particular laws have been passed already, and there is a nearly 1 year that is going to happen. Okay, so these laws, all the four laws have been, codes have been passed, but up till now the implementation has not happened. Now questions are being asked the government that why there is a delay in the implementation. So they say that actually delay in implementation is because, see, the labor is a concurrent subject. So not only the central government can pass a law, the complementing rules are to be also passed by the state governments, but the state governments are delaying in framing the rules. Is it clear or not? And because the rules have not been framed by the state government, the implementation is very much less up till now. So this is, guys, the all thing that have been provided in this particular article. So I hope you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. Bridging the gap. Now this particular article, guys, is taken from the Hindu newspaper editorial section. Now what first of all this article is talking about? This article talks about the recent global gender gap index that has been released, where India has ranked 135 out of 146. Now guys, the same thing is being repeated. However, yesterday 14th of July newspaper analysis at 10 minute 37 second, this particular timestamp, I have already discussed this entire article, and I not only have discussed the global gender gap index, guys, I have discussed the entire issue of gender inequality there in that particular article. So guys, if you have seen, no need to read this particular article again, nothing substance is provided beyond that. And if in case you have not seen the yesterday's analysis, guys, rather than reading this, I ask you that please see at 10:37 this particular analysis. Is it clear or not? Your entire concept of gender inequality and what this gender gap index is all about, it will get clear. So the same repetition has been there. Fine. Now this article, it says that the center gets time to reply on the fundamental duties. So guys, basically we know this particular thing, that India, we have 11 fundamental duties that have been prescribed by the article number 51A. Is it clear or not? 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. Fine, when we talk about the fundamental duties, 86th Constitutional Amendment Act added the 11th fundamental duty, article number 51A, subclause K. Now the 11th fundamental duty that got added by the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, it provides that the guardians, the parents, they need to arrange for the education of their children. So in total 11 fundamental duties we have in article 51A. Now these fundamental duties are actually not enforceable in the court of law. Is it clear? They are just the civil reminders to the people that what they should do, what they should not do. Enforceability of these fundamental duty is not there. Now guys, one petition has been filed in the Supreme Court, and this petition says that now the high time has come that the fundamental duties need to be made enforceable. Okay, and in this particular direction, the Supreme Court has asked the central government that what you say, should we implement the fundamental, should we enforce the fundamental duty by the law or not? So the central government had said that we need a time to reply this particular matter, that whether the fundamental duty can be enforced or not. This has been provided. So the petition seeks the enforcement of fundamental duties, as well as they want that the patriotism, unity of nation needs to be enforced through the well defined laws. Is it clear? Center says that we need more time. Now guys, what is the logic that this particular demand is being made? So the petition, it says this particular thing, that today a kind of a new illegal trend is being seen. Many people, they protest, and into the name of freedom of speech and expression, they are blocking the roads, they are blocking the rails, and they are compelling the government that the government should listen to their demand. Okay, so this is something that they say, and they say that it is wrong. Now guys, see, your view could be different. You can agree with this particular view that yes, it is correct. You may not agree with this particular view also. You may say that okay, yes, the people are holding the government at ransom and now fundamental duties need to be enforced. But on to the other hand, guys, even when we talk about the right to protest, it has been guaranteed under the fundamental right, article number 19. Right to protest is a fundamental right. And guys, in the protest, how basically the how you can ask the government to bow down to a particular demand if there will be no such deception, that will not be there. In this particular light, guys, if you are following the newspaper analysis, last year we have seen a multiple number of articles also that came, that whether the rights are important or whether the duties are important. Okay, chalo, anyhow, just this particular matter is going on into the Supreme Court. Nothing concrete has come in this particular thing. So till if something final will happen, we'll again see this particular thing. Till then, just you need to be aware of this particular development that is going on. Okay, so that is all guys about the today's article. I hope guys that you have understood these particular issues, and I hope that you are able to make sense of the articles. And as I say, clear guys, please keep on revising the content, okay, because revision is more important than reading the new stuff. Okay, and meanwhile, good morning to everyone who had commented here, as well as others also: Sudiksha, Sachin, Preeti, Dipankar, Sachin, Sandeep, Shivani, Supriya, Satyanarayan, Sunil, Pallavi, Ashna, Disha, Krishnamurti. Very good morning. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, guys, please take care of yourselves. Okay. Ashna, sir, let me ask one question. You are very genius. Okay. So have you not attended UPSC exam? No, no, no. I had given my attempts, and right now I am working as a full-time faculty for UPSC in one of an institution here into the Delhi. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.